We would like to start off our show by acknowledging the Yugambeh people, the traditional owners of the land on which this podcast is recorded. We would like to pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Excuse me, I have something to say. This is the podcast where we have real and open conversations with everyday people, professionals, and public figures who all have something to say. I'm your host, Shaun Naylor, and you can join me every fortnight as we dig a little bit deeper into our shared human experience. You can join in on our conversations by heading over to the show's official pages and sending me a DM. You can share with me your own experiences, opinions, and feedback on the show over on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at excuseme_pod. You can find us on Facebook if you search Excuse Me, I Have Something to Say, or through our official website, excusemeihavesomethingtosay.com. And don't forget that you can rate and leave a review of the show, which is going to help our conversations reach a wider audience. And remember to share, like, and subscribe so that you never have to miss a show. On today's show, I am so excited to be sitting down and having a chat with one of my favorite Australian musicians, the incredibly talented, eclectic and multifaceted Sahara Beck. Sahara is a Queensland-based musician and performer who has quite rightfully won her fair share of accolades over the years, including 2019's Regional Song of the Year for Here We Go Again, a song which also saw her score third for the Vanda and Young Global Songwriting Competition that same year. Sahara is a unique artist who produces music that encompasses all kinds of genres, with lyrics that are as heartfelt and earnest as they are progressive, and a voice that has the ability to lift you up while simultaneously breaking your heart at the same time. If you aren't familiar with Sahara's body of work, then I encourage you to go and listen to her solid back catalogue once this episode is over. Some of my personal highlights from Sahara are Spinning Time and Tapping on the Roof from the 2016 album Panacea, the entire Queen of Hearts EP, and more recently the singles Crave, Stillness, and a hauntingly beautiful cover of Wheatus's Teenage Dirtbag, which can all be found on Sahara's latest EP and her Kryptonite. Sahara, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm good.
Really appreciate you giving up a little bit of your time to have a chat with me. A little backstory. I first heard your music when a very close friend of mine, former music and arts journalist Daniel Johnson, he literally forced you upon me.
Also, he's a legend.
He's pretty cool. Knowing that, my taste in music and I have this penchant for all things quirky and unique, Dan was very much like, you're going to love Sahara Beck. And he came over with his partner, Rochelle, and he put on some YouTube stuff of yours. And then during the pandemic, he and Rochelle moved down to Tasmania, and he sent me a message and he was like, Sahara Beck is playing at Miami Marquetta around the corner from your house. You guys have to go. And we did. And you were just absolutely awesome.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that. I love when friends tell each other about stuff that they like and when you actually like it. That's really good. Oh, I'm so glad that it worked out.
It did. And when your friend is a music journalist, you kind of have to take, he kind of knows what he's talking about.
Oh, I love him. He's so supportive of the music industry. He's such a good guy.
He is. And thankfully, we got him back from Tasmania earlier this year. So he and his partner, Rochelle, are back in Queensland. They're living on the Gold Coast and they're having the best time. But back to you. So the first time I saw you live was when you did perform at Miami Marquetta, and that was after some restrictions were lifted during the pandemic. What was the pandemic like for you, being told you weren't allowed to perform, essentially?
Well, probably, I'd probably be the same as, you probably heard this story 100 times, but I guess because I always only did music and I didn't go to uni and study anything because I was I'll just play music and I can study later, I guess. And then when COVID happened, it was oh my God, okay, well, what am I going to do? And I pretty much for a little bit, I was just kind of hopeless. And then I kind of spoke to some friends because I felt really bad about, I was kind of just spending every day at home, just like thinking like, at first I was sort of writing a bit and being like, sweet, I can write. And then I just started feeling like a massive piece of shit because I was like, I'm not doing anything, but I can't do it. There's nothing that I could possibly do. And I couldn't get a new job because everyone was already getting rid of their employees. So I literally couldn't do anything. And there was no government support money for like 8 months or something for musicians. So yeah, then I was talking to friends about it and who also did music, and they were like, oh my God, nah, dude, like same. And they'd be like, we're just at home drinking all day. You're actually doing really well, not just being drunk all the time. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm doing well, I guess. But like, yeah, like I think it was just a really horrible, hard time for everyone in that industry who just didn't get any support from the government when like just so many places that already get way too much support got even more support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
it was ridiculous.
okay, cool. And especially that whole thing with like, I don't know, like when it sort of clicked for me where it was like every time that there's some sort of disaster, like me and all these other people are asked to play music to raise money for this disaster. And then it's like everyone at some point became really aware. Oh, sorry, my dog's trying to knock over the computer.
Oh, speaking of your dog, how cute is your dog?
Look at him. He's just chilling with my guitar.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, like everyone started realizing that like musicians aren't getting any help, and like, everyone was talking about it, and it really pissed me off because it was like, okay, it's like a thing that everyone's acknowledging, but on top of that, still no one's doing anything to try and get help for these people because it sort of just was seen as this thing of like, well, you don't need to play music, but for me, like you don't need to play music, you're just expressing yourself. And it's like, no, it's a job. And, I need to have a job. I need to make money. And you could say to anyone like, oh, you don't need to go in and work at the bank. You don't need to work at that cafe. Like that's your choice that you're having a job, was my whole thing where I just felt like just because like it's supposed to be this form of expression doesn't mean it's not a real job. And it doesn't mean that we don't need a bit of government support. And especially like, I'm like the last person to ever take any unnecessary support from the government. It was just like that one time where I was like, this is actually a time where I really, really could use it.
Well, the point that you sort of touched on before is really poignant. Like anytime there's a disaster, anytime there's something that happens in the world, we do return to our artists and our performers and we go, hey, can you guys just do a thing,
Yeah.
to bring everybody back up. And when you guys needed help, where was everyone else? Like,
yeah. And it's already this industry where like you spend so many years playing pretty much for free, all for free, because it's like you need to either you're helping someone or you're just getting in front of people to get acknowledged and recognized kind of thing. And then when you finally got some recognition to be like, okay, other people need help and like, but you can't make any money on this, just give all the money to those other people. And it's like, of course I'll do that. But then to not see it come back, I mean, not that you ever are doing things to see them come back, but just like when it happened to be in that situation where you're like, oh, would be nice if someone organized something to help us. It was just like, oh no, oh, the poor musicians, they're struggling. Maybe it'll help them write a better song, after they get, it's like this whole thing that like we need to be going through struggle all the time in order to make better art. And it's like, no, that's ridiculous. It's a stupid way of thinking. And that's just the way that people have been thinking because of the way that music has been looked at since like, I don't know, the 1930s or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the whole 27 Club, right? People just being like, artists need to just suffer and like they need to go through a really hard time. And then people just end up dying by the time that they're 27 for multiple reasons. It's like, these people need help.
Exactly. So obviously government were useless, but let's be honest, no surprise there. But what was it like for you when you were finally able to get back out there once restrictions had lifted? And of course, there was a bit of up, down, sort of as they were coming out. You guys were allowed to perform again. Then you weren't. Then you were. Then people got sick with COVID, and then like it's kind of been hectic. But I know for me, going to see you at Marquetta, that was the first live performance we'd seen in a long time. And it was just so refreshing. And it was so nice to be out listening to music and, paying for tickets to go and see somebody and enjoying a show that I think from an audience perspective, you looked like you were just living your best life.
That's good. Yeah, I think that after COVID, like it's just kind of really changed everything because in the beginning, people weren't really buying tickets at all because it was like, oh, we don't know if, you know, is it going to get cancelled last minute? Is there going to be another lockdown? So people were just like buying tickets last minute. And then as time has passed, ticket sales, I feel like, are getting better with lots of people, but then it's very much still like a lot of them get bought closer to last minute because there's no guarantee still. Or like there is more of a guarantee it's going to go ahead now, but everyone still sort of seems to have that mentality of like, oh, I don't want to like plan for something and then it gets cancelled last minute because of COVID or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was the biggest thing with me. I think it just has slowed everything down and changed everything. And like even with like labels and stuff, like people, you know, wanting to join a label, I feel like labels are kind of trying to, because everyone's lost so much money, they're trying to spend more of their energy on the artists they already have instead of taking on a lot more new artists after that whole thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just changed everything in the industry. And so like everything we knew beforehand doesn't really super apply anymore.
How did the pandemic impact you creatively? Because I guess before we touch on a couple of things, amazing things that you got to do this year, like the pandemic, you were saying, you know, like people expect musicians to be able to write songs out of pain, and people are kind of like, yeah, that's fine. The musicians are suffering. They'll get better art out of this. Did you find that you were impacted creatively during the pandemic?
Yeah, like, but not in a good way. Like, I honestly just found like I had nothing to write about. Like, you know, I'd be writing about like, you know, and I think, oh, I could write about being trapped inside. And then, I don't know, like, how many times can you write about that before it's like, okay, this is just repeating the same thing. I haven't, like, you know, because you're not going out and seeing anyone. Like, there's no new experiences going into your head. So you just kind of, like, for me, at least personally, I just wasn't feeling inspired at all. So it was like, there's nothing going on in my brain to write about. Just ready to get out.
But you did get out because you not only released a couple of singles this year, but you had an incredible year with Bike Club and the Briefs Factory, and you guys you took it on the road. You went to Edinburgh Fringe, you performed in London. Like, I was looking, you know, I was seeing articles coming up just in my news feed about you. I think there was a picture of you. Looks like you might have been dancing in like some sort of water fountain during a heat wave when you were over there. Like, how was that experience?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. We were so we played at Glastonbury for like dog is driving me nuts. We played at Glastonbury for like 3 nights, which was crazy. I never thought I would play there. And then we played in one of the big top tents. And then we went to London and played there for like, I don't know, was it like a week and a half or something in South Bank at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre. And that's where you would have seen that photo. We because of the heat wave, we took a photo out in the fountain out the front kind of thing. It was so funny because all the like public were kind of watching us, because I think it was like, I don't know if you're supposed to go in that fountain. We had all these photographers around us, so it was like, it's legit, but everyone's like, ew, get out of the water. But yeah, and then we played at Edinburgh for like nearly a month, but it was just so many shows, and I've never done that many shows in a row either. It was such a good learning experience for like how to treat my voice during the day as well. But yeah, and all those Briefs guys are just so awesome. Like, I've just made such a good bunch of friends through them.
How did that come about? How did you end up getting all of your songs being the soundtrack to their Bike Club show? Speaking of Bike Club, look,
yeah, Bike Club's happening.
For anybody who's listening, Sahara is currently being attacked by her beautiful little puppy who just wants to play and is like, get off of this podcast.
He's like, why are you adults always talking? What were we talking about?
How you managed to become a part of the Bike Club with your soundtrack and performing.
Yeah, so just before COVID, I played at Woodford and Woodford Folk Festival, and so they were playing as well, and they were playing like at night times at like midnight, or I don't know, it must have been an early show, maybe some of their shows, and I was playing really early in the morning at like 10 or 11 in the morning, and so they'd sometimes be actually like finishing the nights when I'd be starting up. And so I think that they were saying like that they'd walk past my tent in the mornings and they'd be like, you know, walking back to their tents ready to sleep, and then they'd like stop and listen to my set a bit. And I had no idea, like I'd gone and seen their show a few times and I was like, wow, like they're insane. I didn't even think I'd ever meet them. And they literally just sent me an Instagram message after the festival was over. And they were like, oh, like we really like your music and we wanted to talk to you about writing a show together. And I was hanging out at my mum's house and I was like, Mum, Brace messaged me. Brace messaged me. She's like, what? I like called them up and like the whole time I'm like mouthing stuff to Mum, being like, oh my God. But yeah, and we literally just I sent them the songs and we came up with ideas for each song, like what everyone can do. Like everyone pretty much thought of their own act. And yeah, then we did it at the Tivoli in Brisbane, like a bunch of shows there. And then we went to Perth and did Fringe Festival there. And then yeah, we did the overseas tour. Yeah.
It's crazy. I know Daniel Johnson, he's going to love this because he's getting so many mentions, but he went to see you guys doing Bike Club. I think it was at the Tivoli.
He's sitting with my boyfriend.
And he kept saying, he was like, you have to go. And this was obviously before. He was like, you have to go, you have to go, you have to go. And we never got to go. And so disappointed because it just looks like such an amazing, like, are you guys, is it something that you're going to pick up again with the guys, or is it kind of in the can now? Is it done and dusted?
No, I definitely want to keep doing it as much as we can. Like next time that so you live at the Gold Coast, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we've got to do a Gold Coast show. That'd be so sick. But yeah, next time it's like at the Gold Coast or near the Gold Coast, I'll let you know.
Yeah, because we will be coming.
It is like, even for me, I've seen it like, I don't know, surely like 40 or 50. No, oh my God, it would have to be like over 50 times. But like every single time, I'm just like, all I'm doing is singing the songs. And like, sometimes I'm up in the air or like playing or like not playing, but I'm always singing. And I'm always just watching. So it's like me singing my song, and then there's a member of the cast with me at all times, and they're always doing something just like amazing. So I've seen these tricks like 100 times, but I'm just watching them every time, just being like, how do you do that? Like, just flipping in the air and like, I don't know. It's crazy. They're insane. And they're dancing in heels. I can't do that.
Yeah. What's so obviously you say like you were up in the air, like I've seen the pictures of you playing guitar, like, and it looks like, I don't know, it looks like you're coming down, like very angelic, very beautiful, very something you would expect to see at like, let's say a Pink concert or somebody like that who gets to spend all this money on these their own headlining concerts. Was there any moments where you were a bit like, I can't believe I get to do this as part of this?
Oh yeah, every single moment, honestly. Like, and when we started the show, because Fez, the main queen, is like the MC. He was saying like, oh, if there's anything that you can think of, like literally just let us know, and like we'll figure out a way to fit it into the act and stuff. And this was like in the very start of the process. And I was just saying to him, like, I don't know, like, because I'd never worked with like circus before. And I was like, I think like forwards and backwards and left and right. I don't think up and down. Like I can't, It's just not a part of my vocabulary. And, they would be like, oh, what if I do this? And I'm like, that's amazing. Like, do that. That's great. Like, I'm not going to be like, do a flip or something. Like, I'm not, like I don't have the vocabulary for it.
Now, your songs obviously feature really, really heavily. They are the soundtrack to that whole Bike Club experience. Your songs are so well thought out. Like lyrically, you've written some incredible lyrics and you have created some really masterful songs. I think particularly I fell in love with the Queen of Hearts EP. And all of the songs that were on there. That was, I guess, my entry point into knowing your music. What is your songwriting process like? Like, what do you go through? How do you get these like hits? I actually, side note, I saw somebody posted the other day that you were like the next Kylie Minogue, and I don't know if I would agree, but you definitely have the songwriting ability to knock out some bangers, but I don't necessarily know if dancing around on a bar in gold hot pants is something you aspire to do. I don't know.
No, I think that's really nice. Like I've gotten a few of those comments recently about Kylie Minogue, but like I personally I don't see how I'm like Kylie Minogue, but it's the best compliment ever. So I'm like, thank you very much. I'll take it. But yeah, I think the process is always different. Like sometimes, like with Mr. Breezy, for example, It started with like the idea that like I had just started dating my partner and like he's a carpenter. So like I was hanging out with all of his friends and like, just finding out about this whole kind of new world. And everyone was always so excited about the weekend. And I was like, why does everyone care so much about but I realized, because for me, like the weekend isn't exciting because that's usually when there's more gigs.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not like, oh my God, the weekend's coming. So, but obviously if you're working 9 to 5, then it's like the weekend. Anyway, this sounds really obvious and dumb of me that I didn't just go like, oh yeah. But anyway, so I was like, okay, the weekend is like this big, glorious thing to like most people. And I kind of like went off that vibe and included, yeah, I don't know, it was just like different things going on at the same time. So I put them together. But like that was like a lyrically started song. And then most of the time it'll be like I have a melody in my head and then I'll just like match some music to it and then add words to it kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's seriously always different. Like you could say something really strange and then it'll just keep repeating in my head. And then eventually I'll be like, no, okay, I just have to write it down. And then like as I'm repeating, do you ever get like words stuck in your head? Like
all the time.
Yeah, right? Like if someone says like in the kitchen, in the table by the sink or something. Like, I don't know, Jake said that the other day. He was like, oh, it's in the kitchen by the table in the sink. I was like, that sounds really cool. And I was like, all day in my head, I was like, in the kitchen on the table by the sink. And then you start adding a melody in it to it. And then like, I don't know, and it just becomes a song eventually like that. Like I honestly think that most people accidentally write songs in their head, but they just don't write it down.
Yeah, I would believe that 100%. So talking about Mr. Breezy, it is your latest single that you've released. It came out on Friday, just gone. I believe it's being well received. I did I message you that it's my summer anthem. Like it's such a cool, like Mr. Breezy is such a cool title for it because just musically, melodically, it's so sort of like you can picture somebody driving in their car, maybe with the roof down, listening to that song, just having the best time. And I did see that you said you were really excited to release this one. So this song obviously has a special place in your heart.
Yeah, and I recorded it like a couple of years ago. So like all of the songs that I'm going to release now are from like that body of work that I recorded about 2 years ago. So yeah, I don't know. And also just getting to perform that song, and it's just had such a good reaction with people live. And like as soon as that song starts, everyone just sort of like, I don't know, like everyone in the crowd, it's like they become kind of in sync and they kind of just start waving their bodies together. It's really cool. And like everyone just seems really like relaxed and happy suddenly. Like it's just a really nice song to play live. And I'm just really happy that it's released now. And then I don't know, hopefully people can feel good at home.
I mean, I was dancing around my bathroom getting myself ready to go out this morning, and I had it on. I've added it to my favorite 2022 song playlists that I listen to. Like I really, really love it. It's so
awesome.
Cool. Another one that you did that had me bopping around my kitchen quite a lot was Kryptonite. So good.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. It's good.
It must be frustrating. I mean, I can only imagine, like when I create anything, I just want to put it out straight away. So it must be frustrating knowing you've got these wonderful songs that you've worked on that are sitting there. Obviously you get to perform them, but you don't get to release them. Like Mr. Breezy's you said it's a couple of years old and it's only just coming out now. Like that must be frustrating as heck.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think though, like it's definitely important to get it out at the right time so it can get out to the right people, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I guess, I don't know, like it's just such a like based on luck industry. I sort of think like you have to really know, well, not know, but like kind of keep your eye on when it feels right to kind of release it, and like obviously have as much planned to give it the best shot that it can have. And I think after we did all the Bike Club shows, we were like, okay, this is a good time because like everyone knows that song, that's seen that show now. And yeah, but yeah, it's definitely, I definitely have been feeling for a long time like, oh, I'm so keen to get it out. Let's do it.
It must feel so good to have it out and see everybody's responses to it, particularly people who haven't seen it performed in any show, who are just hearing it for the first time and probably just like spamming your inbox.
Yeah, like, yeah, I'm hoping that people like it. Like, yeah, let's get it onto the radio.
Yes, let's do that. Yeah, you definitely need some good radio play.
Everyone text into the radio and say play Sahara Beck.
Yes, do that. We'll like put links to everybody's local radio stations and we'll get it done. It's an epic song and it needs to be played. You also made your first final record.
My first final record. Yeah. Oh, well, I've actually got I've got 3. Oh, vinyl record. I think you said
Yeah.
final.
No, final. No, there's much more to come from you.
Yeah, vinyl. Vinyl record. Yeah, my Queen of Hearts and a Kryptonite record. I'm so stoked.
So that is driving me crazy because I need it. So how do I get it?
Oh my God, is it not on the website?
No, I was on the website the other day. Maybe is it all sold out?
No, got a big box of them over here. Oh, maybe did you say it was on there the other day, but now it's not?
No, I was on there the other day going, where is this? I want this. And I know Daniel Johnson's like, I can't find it and I want it as well. So there's definitely, please take my money.
I'll take your money. Okay, I'll fix that up. I'll have to send you one.
Yeah, because I mean, I definitely need to be dancing around my house to you on my giant speakers. Has to be done. So now it's kind of become a love fest and I'm just embarrassing myself. So before I do too much more of that, how are you wrapping up 2022 and what is 2023 looking like for you?
2022, I'm just gonna I don't know, I'm gonna go on a little road trip with my dog and my partner, and then next year we're gonna get back into the music and hopefully go overseas again at the end of the year next year. But yeah, got a bit in the boiler and see what comes out.
Thank you, Sahara Beck, for taking some time this morning and jumping on to my little podcast. I'm very excited for anybody who listens who hasn't yet met you to meet you and see what you do. I will put all of your links into the show notes, but for anybody who's out there listening, where can they catch up with what you're up to?
If you go onto my Instagram, it's like the best place, or Facebook, Spotify, all the places on the internet.
We will drop all of the links so that it's just one easy click away for you to get to meet and know Sahara Beck or enjoy your relationship with Sahara Beck's music if you're already a fan like me. Sahara, thank you so much again for coming on. Excuse me.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure and I can't wait to see what you do in 2023.
Oh, good to see you.
So guys, that is a wrap on this week's episode of Excuse Me. Thank you for tuning in, and a huge thank you once again to Sahara Beck for sparing some of her time to come and have a little chat with us. Don't forget that you can follow Sahara on her Instagram at Sahara Beck. You can check out all of her information, upcoming gigs and whatnot over on her website, saharabeck.com.au, and head on over to your favorite streaming music provider to listen to Sahara's latest amazing single, Mr. Breezy, and her back catalogue of incredible songs. Go do that now. That's what I'm telling you to do. Thank you for listening. Love you all lots, and we will see you next time.